Warning, this video is intended for adult collectors. It contains plastic collectibles, questionable opinions, and the #1 enemy of translucent plastic. It's too late. Random review is about to begin.
Before we begin, thank you very much to Sir MK for joining the Patreon campaign. That is a familiar name. Always glad to see somebody back aboard. Thank you very much for your support. Thank you, everyone. It does mean the world to me that you allow me to continue doing this, because it really is you guys and your support that allows me to keep doing this nonsense we call a YouTube channel. And I appreciate everyone for letting me get away with that. So, let's do some reviewing today, shall we? Because I just got in the new hotness, which is the Buzzworthy Bumblebee Studio Series Rise of the Beast Voyager class Optimus Prime. That would be the only time I refer to it by its full legal name, and even then I forgot the whole 102BB serial number that goes along with this one. It's a bit of a mouthful, to say the least, as far as a name of a Transformer goes, but suffice to say, it is the Optimus Prime to get if you want a Rise of the Beast Optimus Prime. It is a Target exclusive, so this is not the easiest thing to get a hold of at the moment. Hopefully they saturate like everything else does, but let's see if it is actually worth tracking down. So, for starters, yes, he is in his very familiar flat-nosed semi-truck with a whole bunch of additions they made to spice him up a little bit for the Rise of the Beast movie. He's looking very hefty, very solid in this vehicle mode, at least from this angle. We'll talk about that in a bit. He is cast in his traditional red, blue, and light gray color schemes. Hasbro is very proud of the fact that this toy only took 4 molds to make when something on a Voyager usually takes 9. And whether or not that is a good thing is to be decided. I don't know. Like, I would have to see how this mold is made with 9 instead of 4 in order to really gauge. But we will look at it at a surface level at least. So, yeah, as you can see, yeah, there's a plenty to talk about here. I do like some of the additions that they've made to Optimus Prime in this design. I like the brush guard. Gives him a much heavier look. If he had that ramming into Decepticons in the original 86 movie, I think it would have done a lot more damage. The high smokestacks are interesting too. It's interesting to me because those smokestacks, remember on the G1 Optimus Prime toy for the longest time, they had to be clipped for safety. And now we can get away with these big jagged things. These are actually even pointier on top than the original ones were. Typically that's because these are designed to be like breakaway. So if there's like someone actually falls on it, it's not going to pierce them. Then again, that's going to poke an eye out no matter what, so that seems to defeat the purpose. Point being, let's actually talk about the toy. That's not the horrors of toy safety laws. Yeah, he does a pretty good job here. You got the silver stripe down the side and all the way across the front. Same silver on his grill. Translucent blue for the windshields. Are very pale, not blue, but like a kind of a smoky color. I'm getting ahead of myself because I want to talk about this. We'll talk about that. Don't worry, we'll talk about that. I like the little detail of including a little bit of black paint there for the windshield wipers. That's a nice touch. And then like the overhang as well. The sun visor is painted up in silver. That's nice. Looking through the side details, he's got his fuel tanks on the side, which, by the way, stop doing this, Hasbro. I know that's an easy way to incorporate the fuel tanks, but I'm tired of these little things that don't clip into place. Like every time I go to pick this toy up, I fold them in, and I hate it. But, okay, security aside. 6-wheeled vehicle, which I will admit, I have a hard time actually getting on all 6 wheels. I have a hard time getting them on 4 wheels. There's a lot of like weird areas that he can become unbalanced as you transform him. It's actually really tough to actually get all 6 wheels on the ground and level. And even now, like, even as I look at him from the side, it doesn't look like things square off exactly the way I want them to. And speaking of things I want, let's start talking about the ugly. I want to talk about the ugly on this vehicle mode itself. So for starters, the cab section is hindered with hinges. On the sides, you have 3 visible hinges sticking out of the vehicle mode. And I appreciate the attempt to line these up so it looks like one pipe going across the side of the truck. The top one is really upsetting to me because not only does it cross over a windshield, it actually goes through a rear view mirror. Hello? Hi? And then there's 3 more on the top, along with that gray patch of plastic that does not represent the actual vehicle in the movie. And speaking of not representing the vehicle in the movie, look at the rear section of this thing. So a lot of this is the front of the legs transformed up this way onto the back side of the truck. Problem is, Rise of the Beast Optimus Prime didn't have anything on the back side of the truck. It's flat red on the back and then just a flat blue platform for the rear section of the truck. So this is highly inaccurate. It feels like they added transformation steps just for the sake of making it transform more, which is really upsetting and really annoying because this is really, really ugly. Just a lot of blue shrapnel on the back. There's weapon storage here too. It's a little blaster nozzle that just kind of sits there doing nothing. If you look from the front, it can't even look past him, so it's not even like a mounted weapon or anything. It's just a nuisance. It's just a place to put it. And then you've got the sword here. So you either have the option of this really big gap in the rear section of the vehicle mode, or having a blade there, so instead you have this giant knife sticking out the backside. Either one looks dumb. So yeah, just gotta split them open in order to get that out as well. Without it, yeah, just big hollow gap. And I'm really tired of Optimus Primes doing this. I'm really tired of Hasbro putting absolutely no effort into the backside of an Optimus Prime. I get it. That's not the side that people look at the most, but it does really hurt the overall visual of the vehicle when there's such big hollow gaps in it, or big, chunks of kibble in it for no reason. This is just, okay. So the vehicle mode is at best serving a purpose. It's really not my preferred Optimus Prime style. It just feels like it's doing, the backside looks like it's doing a lot of transformation for the sake of transformation. The front side doesn't really look like it's doing much to hide how much is going to change shape on it. So yeah, overall, like, there's elements I like, but it's kind of a disappointing truck mode. It's just weird. There's some choices here I genuinely do not understand. Let me transform it for you, and then we will see if it is all worth it. So for starters, yeah, we'll close those up because that's the easiest thing to start with. I'm going to go ahead and untab these out. There's like 3 different tabs that these sink into in order to shore itself up. Split here. Make sure you untab these as well, these little like side panels, before you start opening things up, because they are just soft hinged on there, so they can pop off. Go ahead and flip the feet out like so. Rotate them around. Now, on the underside, there are these little blue panels that you're going to do a 180-degree spin on, and then double hinge these sections down and make sure those tab together. That's going to make a nice solid leg, and that's going to make another nice solid leg if I can get that to line up. There we go. So that's pretty much the legs done. All we really have to do is get the pelvis out, and for that we need to do a little bit more transforming up at the front of the truck. So let's go ahead and start by unclipping these side panels and folding those up like so. And then going up top, we need to tab these out. There's little tabs at the top that will help you get a thumbnail onto them to unclip like so. Going to go ahead and unclip the front end section too, which on mine is actually kind of hard to get pegged in flush, but I can manage to do it. I'm just going to leave this hanging for a bit. All right, so with that done, I'm going to go ahead and start opening these up. Get this panel and flip it out from the center. Clip down like so to form the top of the shoulders. From here, I'm going to extend out the arms a little bit, but what you need to do is hinge these up 90 degrees and then rotate them down like so. So up and then down. All right, and with that out of the way, now I can give the torso a 180-degree turn, and now we can start making it look more like Optimus Prime. All right, so with that done, I'm going to fold up this section like so. Actually, let me get the wheels folded in first, and then we'll fold it up. That comes out a little bit cleaner, a little bit easier to do. All right, arms, pretty simple. Open up these panels to flip out the hands. Do again like so. The little notches here to actually help you, and we'll be using those in the robot mode for the accessory too. And from there, fold that panel in, fold that one down. That makes a pretty thick forearm with all the panels together. Rotate the arm around like so, so the fists face forward like so. And make sure that silver stripe is on the inside of the arm. And with that, we pretty much just need to finish him off. And for that, we open up the chest doors. Flip the head out like so. Make sure it clicks into place like that. Fold that panel down. Close it back up. Go to the back side and make sure the back snaps into place. And that is your Optimus Prime in the robot mode. And now we have to refocus the camera and get it back in. There we go. So the transformation's actually pretty nice. There's a lot going on, and it doesn't really get boring at any point. Like I said, there is some transformation steps just for the sake of transforming, and that's a little bit frustrating. But overall, it's a satisfying transformation experience. Yeah, it's actually not all bad. So, ugly vehicle, but we're getting something out of it at least, right? So now that we've cleared that up, let's take a closer look at that head sculpt so you can see exactly the type of Optimus Prime that we are going for here. If my focus will actually work, there we go. So yeah, you get that now familiar take on Optimus Prime's head sculpt with a lot of extra tech greeble done on the face mask. Kind of small eyes. Yeah, he looks very Rise of the Beast to me. Looks pretty accurate. The Studio Series ones did have more time with the final design, so it doesn't surprise me that it does look as nice as it does. Yeah, it's pretty smooth. Pretty smooth. Also, there's a very simple transformation step that's easy to forget. Get these panels folded up. Thank you, person in the comments section who caught me. I totally fixed that after you posted it. Thank you for the correction. So overall, let's see what we got going on here detail-wise. There's a lot more gunmetal gray being exposed here in the front of the legs, the midsection. This really is like a stark comparison to the core class one, because I do really like that figure. I think it's cleaner than this one is, but man, it really needed like an extra shade of gray to that midsection to break it up. This one does that quite well, and I like that the center piece is actually done in a lighter gray compared to the outside. It brings it out a little bit more and gives you more of a like Optimus Prime, like traditional front grill belly that you would expect to see on the character. So it all works out pretty well for me. Yeah. Besides that, we're pretty much dealing with the same colors. Maybe a little bit more gray exposed besides that. But then we look at the side view, and look how clean that is. Man, for as dirty as the vehicle mode looks, that is a clean robot. I am impressed. I am delighted by how nice and clean this looks. The only kibble he's really got in this mode is that little bit of backpack, which really isn't bad at all. And actually, they sculpted it to look like the back from the movie. So yeah, bonus points, bonus credit, whatever you want. That's really good on you, Hasbro. Thank you for doing that. Or thank you, Takara, because they're the ones who do all the engineering. Whichever entity is responsible. It's a really, really nice job. Yeah, this overall just really nice look. I actually I kind of like how there's a flip up panel just to hide the Autobot symbol, just to cover up his vehicle a little bit better. If we want to go in close up, give you a few more details while we are still looking at this particular form. Yeah, you can see just tons of tech greeble and motor parts there in the center. Really does look like a machine come to life, which is kind of the movie's aesthetic overall. Yeah, it's mostly just the traditional Optimus Prime shapes, but just a ton more tech detail going on. You can see it on the inside of the legs as well. Look how much is going on there. Also, not too hollowed out. Like, there's a few gaps in there, but that's a pretty solid, meaty thigh. Never thought I would compliment Optimus Prime's meaty thighs on this channel, but hey, we do a lot of new things in 2023. A little bit of hollowing in the biceps and the gap, but overall, yeah, it's just a pretty solid toy all the way around. And it kind of feels it, too. Like, it's nice and hefty for the Voyager price point. Okay, So we've seen detail, we've seen paint. I think it's time we see what this thing can do articulation wise. So the head itself does have plenty of range. It has up and down motion, left and right. All of that works really, really nicely. Shoulders, they're the type of shoulder I hate. They're the type of shoulder I hate, which is the hinge here in the torso and then a forward swivel, which does give you a lot of range of motion, but man, it feels awkward and in a lot of poses looks really weird. You know, where like I would expect this to fold out on a hinge to create an actual universal joint, and instead it just has to kind of like loop over his torso like that. I really don't like that. I really don't like that. It just looks super awkward. Okay, I guess it still works. It still gives you plenty of range. It's just like, I don't understand why there's no universal joint in that shoulder is all. Bicep does work all the way around. You do have a double jointed elbow, which gives you a great range of posability there. The wrist is ball jointed. So aside from an actual rotation, you actually do have a, well, maybe not ball. No, I am mistaken. Not a ball joint. Not a ball joint. It's on a hinge. Apologies. I was like quick to transform it. But no. It's got a hinge, so it gets some back and forth as well as some rotation. So you got a little bit more than usual there. I wish the transformation meant he had an ab crunch, but he kinda does. Kinda. I know, you can kind of work with it. You can kind of work with it if you want. Waist rotation works 360. That's good. The hips are universal, so that works well. Thigh rotation just below said hip joint. Knees have just a bit above the 90-degree level, and then some really tight points here. You do have a hinge here for the ankle tilt, but you also have the ball joint, which gives you a little back and forth as well. So the shoulders are the type I really, really hate. But everything else in the articulation range on this guy is actually really, really good. He's got a ton of good posability and some ranges that I typically wouldn't expect. So, good on you, Optimus Prime. Now, he does come with accessories. We have to load those out as well. Unfortunately, his axe is not included. You actually have to buy the Leader Optimus Primal in order to get his axe. But he does come with a few things. For starters, we saw that little nub he comes with. So, might as well show that off. Go ahead and open up that gray panel. Flip the hand back, and that's going to expose the peg where we can now attach his tiny little gun to kind of do his arm blaster thing from the movie. And it's pretty puny looking. It ain't exactly Mega Man's Mega Buster, is it? I really wish it was bigger, or I wish there was a little bit of red paint so it blended better into the arm. And I don't know. It just, it doesn't look right because it's the same size as his hand. It doesn't look like a cannon that transformed out of him. But if you want melee, we can do melee too. Remember, there's that blade that was sticking out of the back of his truck mode. We still have that. So you got two different options here because it can be held normally, like a traditional sword. That's all well and good. But this is movie Murder Prime. So if you really want, you use the peg hole on the side and give him the traditional like wrist mounted or like arm mounted blade. So you have that option to you as well, which, you know, not bad. I wish it was on both sides so both sides could do it, but I'll take what I can get. As far as additional ports, well, he's not exactly a Generations figure with a ton of them, but he does have some extra slots in the back if you want to armor him up with a little bit more firepower. So you do have that available to you. And all in all, that is your Rise of the Beast, Buzzworthy Bumblebee, 102 BB, Voyager class, Optimus Prime. So the robot mode is beautifully executed. Great in design, articulation, paint level. I'm thrilled with how the robot came out other than the shoulders. That vehicle mode is a mess. And yes, the transformation makes it fun, but man, the vehicle's a mess. So it's I'm cautious to recommend it. Don't overpay, is what I'm going to tell you. Like, no matter how much you like the overall look, I would not overpay for this figure. If you can find it at retail, fantastic. Since it's a Target exclusive, it will probably glut a shelf or two before its run is done, hopefully. But for the most part, yeah, buy it for the robot, and yeah, just don't worry about the vehicle. Don't worry about the vehicle. It's a fine action figure that has the potential to transform, but is hardly necessary on this one.
I'm like, I think you guys got this. I will back away, and I will see you all later.
You've got this handled.
Alafi's like, really? You're not gonna help me? Like, it's fine now.
It's like these disgusting creatures breathing down my neck, and you're all just like, I believe in you. You got this.
All right, you seem to have this. 5 minutes.